Alright then. Mentees, welcome to the first commentated mentor seed, async seed of the Prime Randomizer Mentor Tournament. Now the precursor to get people, just to get people a little bit more acclimated to the expectations on the seed preset. My name's Ginger Chris. I am one of the mentors available during the tournament, help you guys kind of learn what you as you kind of build up your repertoire. And for those that don't know me, I have been racing in the Prime community since about September 2001, I want to say, maybe a little earlier, I can't honestly remember, but I've had several top placements since kind of getting involved in the community. Top 4 in my first tournament, top 5 in the second solo Prime tournament, and me along with Baha have been top 4 and beyond in the cross game tournament, so definitely a lot of experience there. In regards to like my trick knowledge and what I can share, I am very comfortable with the beginner to intermediate side of things. I do know advanced logic, I do know advanced tricks, but my opinion is that they tend to not come into play as much as the beginner and intermediate stuff. I find that a lot of the advanced tricks can actually be detrimental to you in a racing environment, because it will steer you away from the logic a little too much, that actually causes more damage than good. So I can definitely share with you the beginner stuff and some of the intermediate stuff that will be good for routing purposes. Now, as we go through the video, I'm not going to touch on specifically like movement. Movement is something that will come with time, something you'll learn as you watch others, as you absorb how they pass through certain rooms. I'll be looking more about the routing through a seed, pass on how I kind of look at it, what it is I'm thinking, where it is I want to go and why I want to go that direction, and we'll talk about some of the tricks that I use to kind of cement the way that I route. And that's kind of, I guess, the idea behind these videos, these kind of recorded mentor type stuff here, is to kind of pass on that information as best as we can. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight in. We are going to time it. We shall see. It's not going to be like super fast in the sense that I'm not going to treat it like a race seed. We will time it for timing's sake, but we do want to kind of take a look at what's happening, think about it and talk through it. I might not necessarily do, so there's going to be added time obviously on that card. But we're going to start with the first async seed, which is Bloodflower Warrior Chapel. So let's get jumping right in, shall we? So we're going to load into Talon, the landing site, and the first thing we need to learn overall, above and beyond anything in the trick category, is space jump first. This is expected of you straight out the gate. This is a trick that must be learned because it is the one of 2 immediately logical checks in the game. So for beginner's sake, back up to the back thruster here, lock on to the Bloodflower sapling in the far back. When you're dashing, you want to have the lightest B press you possibly can when you're flicking the controller, and that will give you a lot more speed. It'll give you the additional height that you need, and it'll give you the ability to pass up to the space jump first ledge. And well, would you look at that? Space jump boots right out the gate. Best thing you can find. Space jump boots are an absolute godsend in this game. They are the best tool for just moving in general. You're going to see a lot of L jumps, you're going to see a lot of R jumps, potentially even bunny hops. I'm kind of bad at them, but you see me doing them on occasion. And it gives you so much more distance and height when it comes to some of your scan dash tricks and stuff like that. So, best item here. So immediately, next thing I'm going to do, check behind the ship, see what there is. We see our bombs. We're just going to pass through and head to Chozo. We don't have missiles, so we can't check Artifact Temple, and we don't have, again, missiles, so we can't even check Root Cave, so we're just heading straight to Chozo from here. kind of weird playing this after having played so much CGC, which starts with missile launcher. So the little kind of goes against the grain what I've been playing for the last 6 months, I guess, on preset wise. But take the elevator up to Chozo. We have a lot more available to us. We have 2 checks in main plaza logical. We have the Hive mecha check as well, which we'll be doing. But we will also be doing the grapple ledge check here. So we want to jump up onto the tree and we're going to scan up to there. But the first thing I want to do is the tree check here. So if you line yourself up with this corner of the hit, push a little into it, jump and push forward, the camera will clip into the tree. So we know there's a missile in there, we ain't going to be looking for that. So we can just skip that. We know we don't need to come back. Now we jump up on top of the destructible part of the tree, lock onto this point in here, and this is another dash that we do want to learn, because it's fast. However, do note, this is not in logic just yet. You are expected to have space jump and grapple beam to get this check. So we know that Morph Ball isn't our immediate check to follow through on. But, as you can see, grapple is here. This is logical. Now that we have grapple, we have Morph Ball in logic, so we're good. Now I'm going to do a wee L jump here, grab a set of missiles, and what I'll do is, since I'm here, I'm going to scout what is in the vault. Just a missile, which is good. But because we have Morph Ball, we can actually take ourselves all the way through the reverse mecha loop. We have missiles, so we can pass through transport access north, so this all works out. I'm going to scan this elevator for later, just so that we don't have to do it when we come back in. And here's the first mistake. We don't have bombs. I forget that's there. So, never mind. Mistakes are made. We'll head back. Honestly, I forget that you need bombs for that. But, we do know where bombs are. Which is a good actual reminder. The bombs are in landing site. So what we want to do is probably take a save warp and get those bombs. Those bombs are immediately necessary, are extremely good for what we need to do, and allows us to continue our searches and checks throughout Chozo. So as much as I could go into like middle Chozo, as much as I could do like Ruin Shrine, some other checks, we would much rather have bombs so that we can basically do everything that is required in this area. So we're going to take a save warp, go get an item that is immediately required. We can also get artifact hints, and we can also get frigate crash site, which is in logic with space jump and grapple beam. We're actually in a very good position. We'll jump back, get our bombs, and I'm going to head straight into frigate crash site from here. It's just a little cleaner to do this first rather than go to Artifact Temple and then come all the way back. So neat little trick here. You don't have to fight these pirates. They fly away. They don't shoot you. You can just roll all the way up. So I'm going to dash, morph into this, get an extra set of missiles. But you can use grapple beam, you can use an underwater slope jump with space jump. The NSJ methods for this room are not ever expected or logical, they're very tricky. I think they are actually at intermediate. But with grapple beam, you could expect to find space jump there, so that's something worth noting. So now we're going to head into Artifact Temple, get our hints. Should be 6 on standard preset. Yeah, should be 6. And we will take a nosy and see what the damage is. We'll also get an item check while we're here. So we get 7 good bits of information, 6 being our artifact hints. one being a pack of missiles. So nothing too great here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So there's two different trains of thought when it comes to artifacts. Some people prefer to check artifacts immediately. Some people prefer to check artifacts a little further in when they are making a routing decision. I kind of prefer myself to check artifacts when I am in the thought process of saying, I am about to leave Chozo, do I need to do Sun Chamber? Do I need to do Flagra? So that's kind of how I'm going to look at this for the time being. We're going to head to Root Cave. We have access to Root Cave thank you to the missiles. I am going to do the Root Cave dash. This is something that I would... Oh well, I'm going to climb Root Cave. We don't need to do the dash here, but even still, if I didn't have grapple, I would still do the dash. I think this is a dash that is... Or this is a technique that is well worth putting some time into and learn, because you don't necessarily want to come back here and do this at a later point. I'd much rather get this out of the way while I'm here in the Root Cave area. Now, you are expected to have space jump, grapple, and X-ray for this. However, the platforms, even though they are invisible, they are still present. You see them. The first platform is quite easy because you can see the rain on it. If you aim towards these leaves, you'll see the platform, your bullet shooting off. And then it's just, I would say, what, not 90 degrees per se, like 45. The other one is in this direction. They're always in the same locations. They never change. They don't move. So it's easy enough to learn. The next platform is in front of the cubby hole here. Well worth kind of doing and knowing. So I'm then going to jump over and we're going to do Arbor Chamber. Now, Arbor Chamber is what I would call baby's first out of bounds. It's never in logic to go out of bounds because for the most part there is so few single room out of bounds, and the way Randovania works is that all logic is generally accounted for inside a given room. There is no logic for going from one room to another in Metroid Prime. However, this is definitely well worth learning. This route here, you can land on. You can't jump up immediately. There is an invisible box here that you will bonk your head on. But if you jump out and then jump back, you can see that I've kind of clipped onto a surface here. Now, what you could do is you could bomb jump. If you have morph ball and bombs, you can bomb jump your way out of this. If you hold L, and I do an L analog, you can should be able to nudge yourself, but I think yeah, if I let go of L, you can see me just ever so slightly popping forward when Samus pops up. You can always get to the edge here, and you can see that the camera has rerouted itself. I now have full control, I can jump. Personally, in beginner sense, if you do learn this, I would say start off with at least having morph ball and bombs to be security, so that you don't have to deal with the kind of the sticky nature of that box. But yeah, it's well worth learning. Now, this is probably the hardest part, is actually the sticking the landing. I always turn around and aim for here, and I jump. I'm looking for like being able to see the door come into view, and you will immediately just fall straight into the hole here. Once you're in the room, you can touch the door and it will load the room, and then you can pick up the item if you don't fancy around like trying to do things in the dark. But generally, you'll get a feel as to where things are. And then you can just leave. The door on the reverse side is blue, so you can just walk right through it. It's the reason that how that whole trick works, is that it's red on one side but it's blue on the other side. You can just come back out. Now, we'll fall down, we'll pick up an extra missile expansion, and then we're going to head straight back into Chozo and start doing basically everything we can do. At this stage, we are most likely looking for Varia to go into Magmar to then get access to Fendrana. That's our next, basically, requirement, the next expectation, and that's what we're going to start seeking here. Whoops. So, retrace our steps. And we'll start off, we'll go into Ruin Shrine, so we can do all 3 items in Ruin Shrine. We don't have Wave Beam, so we can't go into Tower of Light, but we'll and then we'll do the Hive Mecha loop. We can do all of it, basically. So we've got all of the beginning part of Chozo available to us. And then we can head into Middle Chozo. So, over to Ruin Shrine. One thing to note, these scarabs will do a lot of damage if you pass through them, so you want to morph. For some reason, Morph Ball will reduce that scarab damage drastically. So, just a missile. We're going to slope up off the half pipe here onto this standable branch, and then jump up. Roll through, get another missile. Now, if we fall down here, we will trigger the Beetle Battle. I'm going to scan over it, mainly because I think like the trigger line kind of is weird. I don't know exactly where it starts, but if you look at that rock there, I think it's kind of in line with that. So if you make your way over, we'll get Lower Ruin Shrine and grab the item behind the destructible wall. Now, if you do end up in Ruin Shrine, you don't have space jump. You can bomb jump up there and get out, so long as you have morph and bombs. If you have morph, if you pick up the item, you will be able to leave just straight away, regardless of whether the beetles have spawned. You can leave through the hole. However, if you trigger the beetle battle and you have not got the item, you will not be able to go through it. There's an invisible wall in front of that tunnel until this item has been collected. That's something worth noting. So that's us done with Ruin Shrine. We're going to head into the Hive Mecha loop from. Once we've concluded with the Hive Mecha loop, that's where we'll start heading into Middle Chozo. That will be dependent on what we find. We have 2 items in Ruin Gallery to grab, and then we have 1 item in Hive Mecha itself, and then we've got Transport, Access North as well. Going to pass through here. I'm going to fire a missile down there and go immediately into the hole, to the pipe. So we can check this on the way out. It's just a wave buster, so we're going to ignore that. Goodbye, Wasp. Now, this room here, definitely worth learning some form of movement to pass through it. Skipping Hive Mecha is probably one of the second more important dashes, primarily because the Hive Mecha fight is slow. It's very slow and you don't want to get caught in it. There are ways to get out, but they're a little trickier. But once you start to practice your dashes, this is probably another one that you want to learn. Again, you're hooking onto that. Whoop. And I tend to push a little forward just so that you can make this clearance. If you just dash and don't adjust your angle, you will probably slam into the wall just around the corner here and not get onto this. Vanilla missile launcher. So we're now logical for all those missiles that we've been finding. So nothing in this direction, unfortunate. We're just going to leave and we're going to head into the middle part of Chozo. So nothing much else to really say other than wasps are unuseful. We have no reason to leave Chozo currently. We don't have Varia Suit. We've done everything we can do in Talon for the time being, so our only available checks are in Chozo. Our progression is in Chozo. There we go. I'll slide off that. So we do have a power bomb, which is good. That power bomb expansion that we stole from Arbor Chamber is going to come in. It's going to come in hand. Just an E-tank and ruined fountain, so we don't have to consider that. Ultimately, we do not want to do bosses. Bosses are incredibly slow. Woo. You want to try and avoid doing bosses, but there comes a point where like your intuition will kick in and you'll start to really worry that the boss was what you were expecting. But that's just something you kind of get a feel for as time goes. Now, middle Chozo, this part of Chozo, when I come into Gathering Hall, I have a tactic that I tend to follow through on. It's quick to do if you have space jump. If you don't have space jump, there's no point in doing it. But when you get to Watery Hall, or specifically Dynamo just after Watery Hall, there's two checks. There's one behind the missile grate and there's the spider ball check. When I get to this room, I will climb the room immediately, using some standable here, to check the Gathering Hall item. The reason for this is that I am looking for Spider Ball. I want Spider Ball so that I can do Dynamo in a single pass. So I'll take that little extra time to basically play the lottery in hopes that I find Spider Ball here. However, we do find Varia. Now, Varia is what I'm going to follow in a minute, but I'm going to conclude these available checks that I can. We also find Ice Beam. Both of those are logical. It's actually quite interesting. What are we expected to do? So we're going to do Watery Hall. We're just going to conclude this. There's no point leaving this behind. We're here. I hate isolating checks when you're literally on the doorstep of them. You can see there is a Notroid there. Again, similar to Gathering Hall, I will drop down, so long as I have the energy to do it, so long as I have space jump. I like to check what is in Lower Watery Hall. Now this is a slope jump that will be expected of you. You can take a save in Gathering Hall, just so that you can repeat it if you need to. But that slope jump is well worth doing. You slope sideways, so say we're in the acid, you push against the wall, and you're sloping against the side of the wall. And then when you're at your height, you jump forward. That's something worth practicing. Either defeat Flagra, come back to the room, make sure it's obviously water so you don't have to deal with the acid, and just kind of practice. It's a slope against the side of the wall, up onto the platform. Maybe something I'll do an actual video tutorial on how to kind of practice it. But for the time being, while it's acid, I'd rather not do resets of the game at the moment. So, nothing item, we're just going to ignore that. Head into Dynamo. Our last possible chance of finding Spider Ball is coming up. And it's just a missile. Now, Varia Suit and Ice Beam makes for a very interesting option. Varia Suit pushes me kind of towards Magma, whereas the Ice Beam kind of makes me want to go to our Chozo, go check Anti-Check. Or at least... Actually, no, we can't do Anti-Chamber, we don't have Wave Beam. The likelihood of us finding something in that direction is going to be kind of slim. But we do have Zoid, we do have Furnace, we can technically check Hall of Elders, and then we can check Crossway, which won't be logical, but is easy enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a save, and we're going to head into Far Chozo. There's a few checks we can do. It's a bit of a time commitment, but with the Ice Beam being here, there is a chance that there's something there. Now, what I am going to do at this point is I'm going to check my hints. We're at a decision point. This could influence where we want to go. We have 5 remaining, so we have Magma. Okay, nice and easy. Sun Chamber, told you, exactly what I was talking about earlier on. It's good to check your hints before you make any divergent choices in Trozo. So we know that we at least need to go do Flagra when we finish. And the only problem is we don't know whether that's the plant or the ghosts. So committing to a little bit more Trozo in hopes to find Spider Ball is actually here. MQA, so we have to go into mines. PCA, cannot escape it. We need to do a Mega Pirate, which means we also hard require X-Ray, so we are committing to doing as many checks as possible to find X-Ray. And then last one, Elder Chamber. We need Plasma for that. Fair nice. So with the knowledge that we need to do Ghosts or potentially Plant, I'm going to continue with as much Trozo as I possibly can, in hopes that we find Spider Ball so we can do Ghosts, or some other tool that we can continue with some of the other parts of Trozo. Wave Beam would be nice. It would allow us to just conclude Trozo entirely. So we'll see what Zoid Kirsch has for us. We'll skip the cutscene and we'll check the item immediately behind. You have enough time for this. Set of missiles, we'll grab those. We'll roll back. And if you do this in good time, you'll make it back before Zoid pops out its first weak point. Now, when you're fighting Zoid, with Space Jump, you can just jump on the kind of lip of the turret. And then all you need to do really is just deal with the wasps, but a bit of movement. Zoid always goes in an order. So it's always rotated 90 degrees from the door, the entrance door, and then it goes into facing the door, and then it returns that 90 degrees angle from the door, and then goes back to facing the door. And there's a weak point on both the front and back facing points. So we're just going to take advantage of this. If you don't have Space Jump, you still can technically do this standable, but you need to do a bit of a slope jump to get up. But you can shimmy about if you do make it up. So we're just going to wait for the last one. Skip the cutscene. We'll get ourselves in time. Nice find. We'll continue on. We shall see what we get. We'll complete the magic donut puzzle, as I like to call it. These machines here have these donuts that go up and down to regulate energy and generate whatever is going on here. So that's why the magic donut puzzle name came about. Let's skip all these cutscenes. And we'll just head to the furnace area. So nothing much to really say here, for the moment at least. We'll start with the lower part of furnace, it's always worth doing this first. Just a missile. I won't spend too much time trying to get that item if it is just a missile. Sometimes you can clip it with the bomb jump, but if it's something important obviously you'll grab it, but if it's just a missile you'll end up with plenty of missiles. Now the next trick that you will be expected to do is this spider track trick. Now spider tracks are a little weird. We can actually climb these without the use of spider ball, but this is the only one that really works with said trick. If you push into the spider track and then rotate your camera, hold the R button until you get the reticule. You want to line it up with the faintest part of the spider track. And then if you just push forward, Samus will walk up it. The top. Once you're part way up, you can just jump as well. So once you, like, it's almost treated as like standable all the way up. So if you make it just a little bit up, you can just space jump up. Morph in front of the track, hold up. Sometimes it will deny you entry, but a few times and you'll definitely get access. So just continue onwards. See what is in upper furnace. And that, our ladies and gentlemen, is plasma. Now, there is a very crap bomb jump that you can try and do with that. I'm not going to mess around with it. It's not something I would expect any of our mentees to grind out and learn to do. It's something that I would go and try like once. It's something I would do once as a passing attempt. If I get it, fantastic. If not, I'll come back. I'm not going to spend minutes on it. I do not like the trick. It's not something I would expect anybody to sit and learn for the mentee tournament. Now, once I get rid of this ghost, I'll walk you through the standable for this room. Ghosts are an absolute nuisance. They take 4 full charge beam shots if you hit them. It takes 1 full charge beam shot plus a super to knock them out. I actually think it's like half a charge beam shot plus a super, but you may as well just go full super. So what I will do is I like to deal 3 full charge shots, come up to the slot that you're about to activate, stand in front of said slot, kill the ghost, and if you time this fast enough, you can actually overlap the 2 cutscenes here. So I've had the ghost death cutscene overlapped with the activation of the statue cutscene. So you can get 1 skip on that. Really good. So, Hall of Elders is a dud. So I'm going to head through into Crossway. Oh, before I forget actually, go back. I said I was going to show you something. So, in this room, you have a series of standables that I believe is in beginner. So you can see this circular object with this sticky out bit. You can just jump to that. Hold L, jump forward, space jump until you're on top of it, and then jump up to the bomb slot. And you can activate the bomb slot without Spider Ball. And I believe this is in logic without Spider Ball, so long as you have space jump. If you don't have space jump, you're expected to use the bowling statue to launch you up and then spider onto it. And obviously with it being a bomb slot, you need bombs. So then we go. We're going to head to Crossway as we were previously saying. We don't have wave beam, so we can't continue to antechamber. Just a missile up there. So we've not really found anything. However, we have knowledge. We have managed to find the plasma beam. We don't have it obviously, but we know where it is, which is good for us. If, say, our opponent had chosen to go immediately into Magma, we have a little bit of an advantage on them. They might find Spider Ball though, but they would be more likely to push onwards into Vendrana from there and continue that way. Whereas we, if we find our Spider Ball, know immediately to come back, which is good for us. So, knowledge is power. It's obviously something that's going to play a factor into a lot of these races, is just having that little bit of knowledge that your opponent might not have is going to go quite a long way. So, in this position, we're going to go do plant. We can't do plant the fun way, which is unfortunate. But we're going to go do plant and kind of figure out what our situation is. But before I do plant, there is one check that I would like to do. It's not yet logical because we don't have main power bombs. But because we have a power bomb expansion, we're just going to tidy this check off, so that the only reason to ever come back here is once we have wave beam. Ah, sad. Nothing too exciting. So, back we go. It's time to go to Flagra. And then from Flagra, falling down the sun tower portion, we're just going to take the elevator into Mag. We're going to use Seeds as Standable, climb this room a little quicker. Now, we are not going to do the actual main puzzle in this room. It's slow. Instead, we're going to do a bomb jump over the gate. If you aim into this kind of corner where the pillar and the wall or the gate meets, do a double bomb jump and then flick up left. You should be able to make it over once the bomb pops you up. Good to learn. It just makes it fast. You'll not be required to do that. You're not expected to do that bomb jump for any reason. I don't think there's like... There would be logic if we didn't start with scan visor, probably. But that's not going to come into play. I'm going to pop these, get a little health and missile expansion, and then we're just going to fight Flagra. Pop the first sun dish object, get the cutscene, give it a little bit of a wait, and here we go. Now, interestingly enough, these are not true bomb slots. These are just objects that are destructible or weak to bombs. So, one of the tactics you'll see us do is we'll try to jump with space jump to the outer side of the pipe and blow up the bomb slot. And this works. And this is the fast track to doing Flagra. You can do this without space jump, but it's so much harder. But Flagra is one of those things that I would say, take your time, learn how to do Flagra fast, but be incremental with it, don't rush it. Get accustomed to just like fast strats and manipulating it and using cutscene skip. Cutscene skip's a bit weird. Flagra's active all the way through it, but if you stun Flagra, you can move around the room a lot easier. You can use the sun dishes to distract Flagra. If you hit the sun dish, she will prioritise hitting the sun dish over you. So it makes it easier for you to deal with the room. So we got an artifact, which is good. It means we don't necessarily need to come back here. If this was a tournament race, I would go for an early wild. This is not something I expect any of our mentees to learn and try to replicate as part of the tournament. It is definitely not a beginner trick. It is not even intermediate. It is somewhere in advanced or even expert. Things like complex bomb jump, or at least it's a beginner complex bomb jump, but that equates to somewhere around the advanced to expert side of things. So I'm not going to demonstrate it. We're just immediately going to drop down, and if there's something in ghosts, we will come back for that. So things worked out the way we wanted it to. We got the artifact on plant. We're going to head straight into Magma. And we're just going to do all of early Magma as best we possibly can here. Because we need to be exhaustive with our checks. We need to find X-ray visor, because we know we have to do Omega Pirate. Likelihood is we'll find Wave Beam shortly. Then once we find Spider Ball, we know exactly where our Plasma Beam is. And that puts us in a very good position. Just do some dashes through these rooms. Puffers can be very dangerous if you hit them face on. But if you hit them with your backside, they'll just pop and do very little damage in comparison. Don't understand why that's the case, but it oddly enough is. We're going to shoot this pillar from here. See, it's a power bomb expansion. I'm going to go for this. There's a set of standable you can do. I'm going to dash and get it. But if you don't know or are not comfortable with the dash, if you go to this standable area here, just hold L and you can space jump straight up to this. Good to know. So we're then going to pick up our artifact that is in Storage Cavern. Homies do not like Triclopses, so we're going to drop some presents for them. Makes our passage on the return trip a lot easier. Grab artifact number 3. And then we'll continue on. Nothing really much to say with Magma. Magma is kind of, we like to call it a highway. It has 5 different elevators that go to 4 different locations. 5 technically, but it goes to Findrana twice. But it gives you, these rooms are very fast, very straightforward for the most part. And you can, once you get like really good movement, you can fly through these rooms. Now, Monitor Station. Absolute nuisance of a room. Turrets are dangerous. These turrets you can freeze and they will not unfreeze while you're in the room. So you can just shoot them with ice beam and they're not a problem. You can just walk in and use missiles. If I'm coming from this direction, I'm going to use this slope jump here. One thing to note, holding L all the way through this slope jump is detrimental. Hold L, begin the slope jump, and then you want to let go and then re-grab it afterwards. And it'll get you up to this standable here. Jump, don't walk over, jump to this, and then another slope jump. And down you go. That's how you don't do it, folks. So, slope jump, up we are, and then we have basically circumvented the need to climb the centre part of the room. Now, with space jump, you will be expected to climb this room. There is a dash from the centre pillar, or the centre platform, over to the door that you will be expected to do. And it is just something, actually, I'll demonstrate it. I'll lock on here. With space jump, if you lock onto this puffer, you can dash from here, straight over. If you want to make it easier, you can stand on top of the computer screen and jump from there. It gives you a little bit extra height, making it a little bit more lenient on your space jump and kind of traversing this. But now that we're here, voila! We have found our wave beam. Fully in logic. Now, when you do this room, if you have a power bomb, which I hope I do, yep. Power bomb this bit first, and then grab the item. And then you can drop in, and that's the first time I've had that cool, weird camera angle. Never seen that. But yeah, it's just a fast strat. Drop the power bomb, then grab the item, and then fall down. Now, we're going to check the other part of Fiery Shores here. Dash gone wrong. Just a missile, so we can leave here. We'll do a nosy. I like to roll a little short here to try and get the camera to show me what's down there, and it's an E-tank. If I had a power bomb, I would go for it, but it's a bit slow now, so we need to farm. So, welcome back to Monitor Station. I'm just going to ignore these fools. Use a set of standable. There's so many different ways to climb this room. You'll find something that's comfortable for yourself. We're gonna bomb jump up, transport tunnel A, see what we get. Do we get Boost Ball? Now that is good. Boost Ball for the most part is a quality of life item. There are obviously things required. Boost Ball is required for. Checks specifically Boost Ball is required for. But you could have a seed where Boost Ball is entirely just unneeded. But Boost Ball is so good for movement and for Ridley, which we'll talk about once we get to Ridley. But we are now in Vendrana. So, we need Spider Ball. Once we find Spider Ball, we can go get Plasma. Once we have Plasma, it's then a case of finding our X-Ray. So, the way... Ooh, that's a beautiful one. Frozen. And then not as cool. Now, when it comes to shorelines, there is different ways people traverse the room. Some people will go to check the Chozo Ice Temple first. Others will go check the Ice Ruins East. I prefer the Ice Ruins East look first. So we're just going to head this direction. Chances of we're not going to be able to get any of these items, but it's knowledge. Knowledge is good. There's a little standable here that you can do. A bit tricky to find it. It saves you having to climb the room. We're then going to space jump up here to see what is behind the spider trap. And then we'll head over to the ice. So far, everything locked behind Plasma is kind of done. We'll then pass through the upper path, and specifically the reason I do this is I would like to see what Lighthouse, which is just on this one. And then from here, we're going to go into Chozo Ice Temple. Sadly, we can't do Chozo Ice Temple itself, but the good thing is that we know it can't be Spider Ball, because Spider Ball locks Plasma. I'm going to use some standable here to climb this room nice and quickly. And then we're going to head into Chapel. Go peek what Mama Sheegoth has hidden for us. And this room here is one of my most hated rooms. This room is so slow. It is so unfun. And it's just... I mess the timing up all the time. So bomb the door. And there is item number 2 that we need. We have found our X-ray. We need that because we need to do a Mega Pyro. So we're going to deal with the Sheegoths. They can be a bit tricky. Use some missile spam on them. Managed to like run all the way behind us. Now Mama Sheegoth has a lot of different strategies to it. I honestly don't know what the expected strategy is from vanilla, really. If we had a power bomb, we could just power bomb her. Oh my god, this is terrible. Don't take my experience from doing Mama Sheegoth, I'm terrible at it. But we've got our X-ray, important. Now, if in a solo tournament, you know what? No, I'm not gonna talk about this. It's not something I would expect someone to do, especially in a beginner tournament, in a mentor tournament. And it's not something I would expect anybody to RA, because you really do need to be super comfortable with the trick in the first place. But no. We're going to continue on. We are still looking for our Spider Ball. We know that our Spider Ball cannot be in Chozo at this point. We've done everything that is not Spider Ball related, except from, say, Tower of Light, or training chamber. We could have antechamber, which is unfortunate. So all the wave stuff is the bits that are detrimental. I'm not getting enough slope here. Just a quick way of climbing this room. So, you might be asking, why are we doing plasma checks? We know that plasma cannot lock or spider vault. And we have basically everything else that we need to do the seed. Not really. We're still looking for phase-on. So you may as well do checks along the way, because you might just run into phase-on. So we still want to do some amount of checks in hopes that we find A suit, B, maybe even an A tank. But we're obviously looking for Spider Ball. Spider Ball is the main thing. Now, having thought about it, we actually have like the life growth area available. We don't have main power bombs. Which, speaking of, nah. I was hoping we'd get a power bomb from the scarabs. I'm going to use some standable here just to make this room a lot easier. Jump over to here. And speaking of main power bombs, voila! Now, this room has all sorts of different ways to traverse it, especially when you have space jump. You can make your way up through this way, jump over to here, jump up to here. But there is a standable, you can stand on that little pillar just aside the door as you watched me do when I came in. You can jump up onto this. This bit is a bit tricky, it has a very small amount of standable and sometimes it can just push you off because it decides to push you off. If you do get it, you can jump from there straight over to the item, or you can slope jump up to here like you saw me do. And once we're up here, we're in a really good position. Now, we don't have supers. Thardus is not accessible. Thardus is also not logical because we don't have thermal. Thardus hard requires or expects us to have thermal. That's something worth noting. Flagra is the only boss in the game that doesn't have like a visor requirement or a very clean cut go do me type requirement. Like Thardus, you don't want to touch it because you need thermal. Once you have thermal, it starts to become a bit of a, oh no, should I go do it? Mega Pirate, you don't generally want to do it at all. You know, you hard require X-ray for it regardless. Thardus, you can do Thardus without thermal. You just need to know the methods of fighting Thardus. Mega Pirate, you hard require X-ray. You cannot deal damage to him without having X-ray. So, I'm just going to climb this room, say hello to some of the pirates, unfun people. Now that we're up here, I'm going to use X-ray to check see what's in Hydra, just a missile, so we can ignore that. It's good for us. Turrets inside pirate labs, weak to Ice Beam, as in you can freeze them, and they'll just freeze and they'll never unthaw. The turrets that are in mines will not stay frozen, they do unfreeze. So you do want to remove them rather than freeze them because they will just unfreeze in like 3 or 4 seconds and start shooting you again. Now, observatory. I'm going to clear out all of these pirates. Because this is a very good room to discuss. So, oh, skip the cutscene. So, this room here hard requires you to have boost ball to travel from the bottom to the top. There is nothing in the tournament preset that you'll be playing that will expect you to do a trick to climb this room. You will always be expected, logically, to need boost ball. However, this is probably the next scan dash to learn after you have got accustomed to space jump first and have got used to dashing throughout the game world as you go. This dash here will allow you to skip Boost Ball, it will allow you to skip doing the vanilla puzzle, and it will allow you to go from this platform to this one. But this needs to be an exceptionally good dash. If you lock onto this, till there's no longer a scan bar, you want to input a lightest B touch, you can, B flick, B press, and your angle, and space jump at what you believe to be the height. You don't need to adjust the angle you're doing. If you get enough speed and enough height, bouncing off the wall will reposition you so you get onto the platform here. But this is the next dash after space jump first that I would recommend learning, because it's so good for routing. However, logically, you are not expected to. So it's up to yourself whether you do wish to learn it. It's not something that I would say learn immediately. It's something I would say work up to. Learn when you're comfortable that your SGF and your overall dash mechanics are good. So we're now going to go into Control Tower. We know that this is all logical because we have Boost Ball, as I said. Boost Ball was free, so we know that we are allowed to be here. Control Tower has a little bit of a trick. There is a fight trigger as soon as you walk out this door. This fight trigger, however, has a little teensy gap that you can actually jump through. So what I will do is I will hold L button, inch forward. If you see your cannon light up because the sunlight touches it, you should be good. Space jump up and hold back. Jump further up until you're onto this window ledge, and then space jump over to these boxes. And then you're clear of the fight trigger from this direction. From here, I'm going to jump over to these boxes. We want to knock down Control Tower. So you either are expected to have bombs, Morph Ball, bombs plus plasma to do this, or just space jump. Now I have a very specific lineup for this. If you hold R and aim for this tiny little kind of box-like shape that's in the wall, space jump directly to your right. You don't need to push forward, you just need to line up with that box, space jump to the right, and you'll need to obviously get a feel for the height to be at before you shoot your missile. But once you get accustomed to that, just shoot, fire away, and you'll hit the destructible. So just a missile, nothing too great for, no great prize for what we've done. Be careful when you're rolling out the top of this, don't roll too far, because you will then trigger the cutscene that we just tried to skip. And you will get locked in this room along with a bunch of pirates. So, let's not do that. Next, Aether. Not really a whole lot to say about Aether. Some standable stuff that you can do. But that's more so if you're climbing from lower to upper. Now, if you're in this room, you can just power bomb George here in the tank. George will go pop, and then you'll trigger the motions of this room. You'll trigger the scripting. Just a missile up there, just a missile in there. You can grab them if you want more missiles. I'm going to ignore them and just head to Research Core. As soon as you walk into this room, shoot this pirate. Scan the first bit. This will immediately tell you what is in the tube. Once you know what it is, you can just ignore it. So down we go. And out we go. So at this point, we still haven't found Spider Ball. To me, logically in my brain, I would say to myself that I'm expecting Spider Ball to be in Chozo somewhere, behind the wave beam, behind the ice beam. Because what we're about to do is a series of like really awkward tricks. So the far fen loop is good to do. Like, I would rather do it now because I don't want to ever come back here. There is one check that we can't do because it's plasma locked and we know where plasma is. But I, in my comfort level, I'm capable of doing everything that's here. Now, this guy here, get rid of. Hunter Metroids, absolutely. It's just a missile. so we can ignore this. There is a dash that you can... Ooh, purple. There is a dash you can do from here over to the door. If you lock onto this, you do need to bend your dash ever so slightly, and sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you won't. However, if you fall down, you can jump up to this platform here and do an R jump. It's easy once you get used to doing R jumps, but there is also a slope jump. If you look at this rock here, you can see if you push up that you start to raise. You can use this as a slope and get up quite nicely. It's a good way to move through that room if you're not accustomed to the dash or maybe the R jump. There's different ways. Now, this room here. Shoot the door, but don't walk in. There's two pirates here. You can lock onto them. The first thing you want to do is shoot the first one, get him gone. And then shoot the second one, and kaboom. Easy enough, pirates out of the way. Now this room has a set of standable, so you can jump to this bit, this branch here, jump up to here, and you want to go over to this branch here. Now from here, you have different options as to what you want to do. The easier method, if I can actually do this is something I don't do. I'm oddly enough not particularly versed in this. There we go. You can use the branch here and slope up to this platform here, and then you can climb through the room. However, what I'm more accustomed to doing is I will just slope up the branch entirely. I skip that. But that's probably a little bit more advanced than just learning the slope jump to skip straight to there. So from here, we can just jump up. You can do, I think it's an R jump, you probably could just do an L jump, but I'm going to do a grapple dash. It's kind of swag, and we messed that up, because lovely. That's what I get. It's my hubris. But we'll do it again. So we're just going to jump over to here, do a little bit of an R jump to get the height, and then slope up. You want to do a fast space jump there, that's probably why I didn't get a height. There is a slope jump you can do to get up to here, but I would not advise doing that immediately, or learning that one. You want to climb up here. You do have the grapple point. I believe you can stand on that as well. So you can space jump to that and then jump over. But this room here, if you want to learn how to do an R jump and you want to practice doing your R jumps, this is the right room to do it. This is the perfect training place to master R jumps. This is where I started. This is where Uncle Reggie taught me to do R jumps, like 2 years ago. This is the perfect place to learn how to do R jumps. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend taking a little bit of time. And ladies and gentlemen, our gold. So, we are in a fantastic position. The only thing here though, is that I would like to close out the rest of Findrana before we go and get our plasma beam. And the reason for that is I don't want to have to double back to here later down the line. Now, you can go through this room the vanilla way, but the problem is we don't have gravity. It's going to be a nuisance. If you have grapple, you can obviously knock down these pillars, these stalactites or stalagmites, I can't remember which one's which, and there's a grapple point. What I tend to do is I dash. You stand where these, I guess, lamp posts are. You lock onto this and you can do a bit of a dash. It's very precise, it's very tricky. I mess it up quite regularly. I don't understand what it is I do wrong. I get it sometimes, and then I just don't get it, and then I'm really confused. So, thank you, game. Some limited influence playing in there, so we just walk straight off a ledge. So we're going to redo that again. And there we go. It is much better being able to come up to the upper part here, because once you're at the upper part you can actually scout both the items in Gravity Chamber. Ah, lovely. It's not what I want to see. Oh, well, there's its ugly step sibling, or whatever you want to call it, Flammenwerfer. Now, this trick here, gravityless grav chamber, is not very good. It's not something I would expect beginners to just crack out. It's something probably is good to learn, but I would not prioritise it. Don't put yourself through it unless you're comfortable with everything else that you can and have learned. This trick here is also just equally as garbage. There's a slope jump to circumvent the vanilla requirements, which is plasma, and I don't think that's supposed to be allowed. That's an interesting find. I'll raise that a little later. But yeah, you're supposed to shoot this with plasma, and then you can grapple up. However, for the sake of what I'm doing, because I don't want to come back here, I'm going to get this. Now this trick is very tricky. I still mess this up. But you can see, standing here, there's a little tiny bit of slope. And we missed it. If we morph ball and push forward, we can kind of recover ourselves rather than going into the water here. I am doing this because I don't want to come back. I don't advise anybody to learn that. It's just unfortunate that this is kind of came up. There we go. The way this trick works is very awkward. You need to slope in to this wall. You need to jump away and out. And once you've jumped away and out, you need to do an R jump, so you curve back in. It's so awkward to explain. I probably am not the best person to explain it, but you can kind of see the motion that I've done when I completed it. And you kind of get an idea of what is involved in it. It's not very good. But I'm out of here. Let's go. We've cheated the supers, but the supers are technically in logic, because we know where our plasma beam is. So if those supers are required for anything, we technically have logical supers. We just need to ping pong ourselves all the way to Chozo and then back to Fendrana to pick them up. Now, it's going to be very slow moving through this area. We are going to get ourselves to a save station. There was one available to us, like towards the other part of Barfen, but what I would rather do is head towards Thardis here, tidy off the easy checks, and we're going to get rid of flicker bats because they ruin everybody's day with jumping through this room. I'm just doing this because it's therapeutic. But there's two visual checks, well, there's one visual check we can do and one actual check that we can still do. And I would much rather get those out of the way before we go get plasma. Because we're still looking for Phazon. Phazon is still ultimately the item that we need. The one thing we would like though is some E-tanks. We're seeing a lot of them, just can't get them. So scan this since we're passing, means we don't have to do it when we come back. And we're going to go check the quarantine monitor item that's sat behind Thardis. So nice and easy. E-tank? Yeah, E-tank. That's a good find. Makes things a little bit more comfortable. So I'm going to take this elevator, and we are immediately going to send ourselves to Talon. We're going to save warp. Now, we have a little bit of an awkward situation for a mentor side of things. I know what I would do in a race environment, but it's not something that I would fully expect our runners to learn immediately and to replicate as part of a race, because it's tricky. It is not easy. And that is bar skip. But we'll talk about that once we get to that impasse, shall we say. But we are pretty much in go mode. We are going to go get our plasma. We're going to go get our 4th artifact from Elder Chamber. And then we're going to go into mines and collect our remaining artifacts in mines. And hopefully we come across Phazon Suit along the way. It'd just make life so much easier if we did. So I'm going to do Frigate Crash Site Climb. This allows us to get into Far Trozo so much easier. It is currently not expected in Logic. It is not considered to be beginner. However, this is something that will be becoming beginner in the next RDV release, I believe. It has been proposed for a Logic change to be included, so that when we go to post Cross Game Cup, this climb will be in Logic for people. So it's well worth learning. There'll be a video on the database exactly with the way that I do this, because it was me that recorded the video. So that method there, full tutorial will be in the database come that change being implemented. And it's going to change a few things for the tournament logically going forward, because it allows Ice Beam to be a little bit more effective as an actual item within the world, rather than just locking a random series of like post wave checks. Because right now Ice Beam does nothing. The only ice check that doesn't require wave is Hall of Elders. Every other ice check logically expects you to have wave beforehand. But changing the logic for Frigate Crash Site Climb allows ice to have a lot more viableness for opening up the game world. Being able to do Frigate Crash Site means you could find wave in Far Trozo in that antechamber in that Life Grove area, which is really interesting. It'll create a little bit more diversity in what the seeds can do. So that's something to be aware of as we get to the next release. Now we're in Far Trozo. I'm still going to scout these. I'm still going to see what there is. We're still looking for Phazon Suit, as I said. We're going to lower the gate. And we're just going to head immediately through the room. We can't get the item just yet. Because we have a plasma beam. Now, the problem here is we have a set of ghosts. I'm actually going to remove these ghosts so we can do... Ooh, I've only just kicked him. So that we can demonstrate the climb for this room, this trick, this series of standable terrain. Because as you can see, when ghosts enter a room, the room gets darker. And when the room's darker, it's harder to actually indicate what it is I'm doing. So this wall here, you can do I think it's a slope jump, and you can get to a set of standable here. And there is a little hole that you can step into. Once you're in the hole, push as far forward as possible just so you know you're at the far part, and then pull back a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to space jump up to this spider track. You can actually stand on the lip of this spider track. I tend to do it like this, but I'd probably say turn around and learn the kind of the jump just so you get accustomed to it. But we're now standing on the spider track. We can jump to in front of this spider track, and then you can skip the entire puzzle. That will be expected of you. That set of standable is fully expected and in logic. So now we have plasma. So it's off to go get our artifact that's in here. So this seed is turning out actually quite nice. It's quite a... I'd say this is actually a very jet seed. If I wasn't kind of talking my way through it or discussing like tricks and routing and stuff, this could be a very... I would say it'd be sub 1 hour and a half, and that would be including whatever the phase-on suit hunt is like. So we're going to head to the life grove area. This stone toad, you can stand on it and you can slope off its, like, you can see this, the toad has this kind of curvature and that, I guess, quill, spine, whatever you want to call it. You can slope off that and you can get up to this upper part quite easily. So we're going to head into Life Grove. I would do this. This makes sense for me because of my skill level. I know how to do bar skip. It's not something that I would expect, like, mentees, especially mentees coming into the game who have never maybe played Prime before, to do immediately. Instead, what I would expect players to do is to go to Magmar and travel to Far Magmar. That would be the logical pathway to where we are going. And we haven't actually been there, so this kind of Fiery Shores bit, we'd kind of popped in, but we'd backtracked through the Monitor Station. What I would expect is, at this stage, once you've done Life Grove, to work back to ship, go down Root Cave and head to Far Magmar and go into mines from there. That's what you will be logically expected to do in this situation. Bar skip is never considered to be in logic. But on my skill level, I will do bar skip because it's the fastest way for me to get to mines. And it's the best way for me to get to mines right now. But we're going to clear out Life Grove in hopes that we find our phase-on suit. It'd be fantastic to find phase-on suit here, which means we can just go immediately into go mode. Now, there is a standable that you can do here. You can actually stand on this weird spider track construction thing and just climb up to Life Grove. We need main power bombs for this to be unlocked, and we need boost ball to do any of this. We're going to see what's here. Life Grove is notoriously one of the worst rooms in the game because you just get stuck by some random, like, part of the terrain, and you can lose all of your boost momentum. We'll pop the wall, and we'll check to see what is hidden inside the vanilla artifact location. It's just an E-tank, which I'm going to take. It's a nice quick E-tank. We've came all this way for it, so we may as well grab it. And I'm going to grab the missile on the way. Now, a trick to learn once you're in Life Grove is this standable. This rock here you can stand on top of. It's going to take a bit of time getting used to the standable because it's like a very tippy top position that you can actually stand on. A lot of the time it's going to push you off. But once you're on it, just hold R so you won't move. Let go of R, hold L, and then you want to do an R jump to get across here. This is also a good place to learn your R jumps because it's a position where you need to do a standing R jump from the position you're at. Other R jumps you can actually, I'll say buffer. Buffer's probably not the right way of saying it, but you can walk ever so slightly and then input your R jump and you get a little extra momentum. Whereas that one is a standing point R jump where you need to be like rooted to the position you're on and perform the R jump. Now, this is where we go do bar skip. As I said, I wouldn't expect our mentees to do bar skip going forward, but this is just the right way for me to do it. For anybody that does want to learn, I have a very specific lineup. You kind of, if you're perpendicular to the bars, it's not good. You want to be a little angled in facing, like where the bars meet the wall, and then morph. And you want to do your double bomb jump in a fashion that the bomb in the air is not at max height, because if it's at max height you will bonk off the ceiling. You want to have it a little lower than max height, so it's a little bit of a kind of quicker one. Maybe not that quick, but I didn't get a full height. And now the camera is pushed a little bit out of my preferred lineup. You see I got partially stuck there. If my boost was better, we would have made it over. There we go. But yeah, I don't expect anybody to, in the Mentor tournament, to be like putting a lot of time and effort into learning that. But if someone is more comfortable and you are more comfortable with everything else that you've learned over the course of the tournament, it could be something you maybe try to learn and put into your repertoire. Without boost, it's a lot harder. I even struggle without boost sometimes, and it's a little bit pickier without boost. But again, as I said, you would be more expected to travel into far magma to go into the far end of mines from there into PPC. Now, I'm not going to do all of mines here. I am not going to check every single item check along this pathway. I'm going to basically do everything. I'm going to get to a Mega Pirate as quickly as I can and do everything along the way. Now, the first thing we do want to do is head up to... I'm going to get rid of these turrets now that failed that jump. There is a weird L jump you can do there. I don't fully understand it. I can just do it sometimes. But if you want to get up this room, if you stand on this pipe, do an R jump over to here, you've got a slope off this where you can do a sloped R jump, and it just allows you to get up this room. Hit the thermal conduit, scan the thingamabob, spin our boy the crane, see the item is useless, and then we're going to do a stash off this to get to the ice door. A dash that is also well worth learning. We're going to skip basically upper mines. We've checked main quarry. We're going to check storage depot B because it's here, it's on our path. And then we're going to head into lower mines. That's Ivan, the conscientious objector. If you don't shoot him, Ivan won't do anything. I'm going to grab extra missiles. He just chills. He's a cool guy. But he doesn't like people who bully him. He's one of the nice pirates. You don't see very many of them. But he's one of them. Now, down this elevator into the upper part of lower mines. Really awkward how this place is designed. Coming up next is Boombox. It's called Boombox because it's a box that goes boom and does an item check in it. So we shoot the box and boom. Ooh, and we find Gravity Suit. It's a good find actually. It gives us some damage reduction. Makes water and liquids a lot easier to deal with. Especially if we end up having to go through Frigate. I'm just going to trigger this cutscene, this fight, and I'm going to ignore him. We're going into lower mines. We're going to use this standable on the side of this pipe, jump up onto the top, jump over to this fan, and then we're just going to say goodbye. Trigger the force field, and away we go. Pop down, and voila, ladies and gentlemen, just like we hoped, we have found ourselves a phase-on suit. We are in officially gold. This is a surprisingly jet seat. So at this point, we are just routing to the end game. There's nothing else for us to do other than just go fast, do a series of tricks to maybe make things faster. I'll still talk around a few of them. If you morph on top of this tunnel or this door, you kind of reduce your hit profile. The pirates are less likely to deal damage. Just kind of two. We're then going to come into this room. We don't need to do this fight. We are going to skip it entirely. We're in go mode. We just need our last two artifacts that are in MQA and on PCA. So I'm going to lock onto this and we're going to dash across the room. We're kind of going to sneak over the turret for a little while. Power bomb this. I'm going to pick up 2 more power bombs because they're good to have. And then we're going to deal with firing squad. Super missile will take them all out. Saves you having to go through the slow way of this room. Now this room coming up has a very particular series of movements that I'm not necessarily going to explain because it's kind of like speedrunner movement in the sense that you just need to look at it, try and replicate it and get accustomed to it. We're going to skip the X-ray platforms by freezing a Metroid and using the Metroid to dash across the platform. We'll come in, skip this cutscene, lock onto this and dash over the fence. We'll freeze the pirate, which I think the Metroid actually just killed. Yep, so I'll just use the unfrozen Metroid to dash across. Easy enough. Okay, Metroid's being funny with us. So we'll drop a power bomb. Metroids don't like power bombs, they're just like George. They all go pop. And we get a freebie. So, quick way of travelling this room, you can lock on to this mushroom in the distance and you can just dash over here. We're going to blow up this wall. You would be expected to do this puzzle the normal way where you powerbomb both these walls, walk along the top of the spider track. You don't need to go through the spider track, you can literally just walk along it and then jump up onto the invisible platform that rides up. What most of us runners will do is a slope jump here so you can see how we raise. That gets us up onto this pipe. And we just do another jump over to them. Now that pirate down there is going to be a bit of a nuisance, so I'm going to get rid of him. He should not be here. Now, I'm going to do a very difficult dash, an expert dash, where I can go from this platform to the door. I wouldn't expect you or any of the mentees to do this. You can just jump back down and use the spider track. This is specifically for me in this position it's a speed strat, but it also allows me to skip spider ball for lower mines. So I'm just going to dash across, and I messed up because I was not holding backwards, which you are required to do. So, wow. Good going, Chris. Just ruin it, why don't I? But nah. Probably better for you guys. We drop down, and we do it normally. Now, trip with ice, transition to plasma because the next series of doors is plasmas. And we're just going to go down the elevator and continue on. We've got one more artifact to pick up. And we'll be done in the next 20-ish minutes, somewhere around there. Give or take some conversation points. I'm going to bot this guy with a few single shots, spy what the item is, and leave. This room here, freeze this, shoot it with a missile. Don't shoot this from here, wait until you're actually onto the mushroom and then shoot it. Jump up, shoot this boy, trigger him. Once he drops low, you can freeze him, and then you can jump over. That room is very rhythmic. You'll get the hang of it once you kind of practice it a little bit more. There is a cycle to everything in that room, and you just kind of need to get accustomed to the way that cycle is. So, I'm not going to check what is in PPC, not PPC, PMT. I'm just going to ignore this room. I'm going to ignore the Metroids. We don't need to fight them. There is a slope jump here, and I will actually remove all of these Metroids so I can show you. So where the door is, And it would be good if I had thermal, because this is going to be really awkward to show. But there is... Let's see. Yeah, I cannot show this. It's too difficult. But you can see the mushroom. You can see the mushroom stem. The plasma beam is going to light things up a little bit. You can see that the camera raises just ever so slightly here. You can slope up on that platform. Using thermal makes it a lot easier to distinguish what is what in that room. But there is a slope. It means you don't have to do like a mushroom standing puzzle. Now this room here, there is a fast strat. I've been failing this a lot recently, so let's see if we can get this. Just over. Yeah, we bumped the wall. Mostly these guys actually doing it. They shoot me on the way over. So, if what I would actually recommend for yourselves as mentees is there's a rock here. You can stand on this rock, and you can stand on a little bit standable here next to this grate. Jump over to the spider track, and then you can jump over to here. Get rid of the pirates because they're just going to be a nuisance. And this guy somehow is not gone. You are expected to grapple from here, but you can just R-jump. We don't need to do anything. You can save. If you wish to be safe, you can save at the save station here before you fight a Mega Pirate. It's not the easiest boss, but it also has a lot of strategy that you can take advantage of. And I'll be demonstrating that as we do this fight. When you enter this room, you want to go immediately left. When you spawn one of these elite pirates, the elite pirates have an AI quirk where they are looking to immediately lock on to Samus. But if you are out of their immediate line of sight, they can start their AI. So you can just sidestep them and shoot all the weak points. You can do this with regular elite pirates where you can just spam missiles. So long as they do not lock on their eyesight to you, you can just take advantage of that. I'm going to try Trooper Skip, drop a power bomb as he lifts his chin. If he staggers like that, you can skip the first set of pirates. We have supers, so we're going to do the super strat here. Bring up X-ray. As soon as he immediately pops in, we lock on. 2 missiles. Walk forward while you're doing that, hit with a super. Wait for him to spawn in the next pool. Super number 2. This will spawn pirates, but you can kind of just ignore them. Wait for him to spawn in the last pool. And third super, and a Mega Pirate is down. Lovely, a nothing item. Now, something to talk about. In this room, as you can see, there's 3 pools. You can manipulate what pool a Mega Pirate spawns in. He will always spawn in the pool that is the furthest away from Samus that he was not previously in the last cycle. So the first pool that he will always spawn in is this far one. This is his first pool. So once you pop him from this pool and he goes to move to another one, if you pick the left pool, or the left pool or the right pool, he will immediately go to this one. So if I stand here at the right pool or by the right pool, he cannot spawn in this one a second time because he was previously in that pool, so he's forced to go to this one. When you bop him from here, you can just stay in this location, because again, he can't spawn in this pool because you're next to it, can't spawn in that pool because he was previously in that pool, so he will then spawn back in this pool. And it's much the same. You do pool 1, if you choose to go over here, he is forced into that pool, and then you just stay where you are, and then on cycle 3, he is forced into that pool because he cannot be in the same pool twice, and he cannot be in the pool that you are closest to. So, good way to manip him, and it's a good way to know exactly where he's going to be, so you can just line up your shots. Now, I'm going up this elevator because we need our last artifact. There is a dash you can do. You can come out here, lock onto this, and fire yourself across. We're going to go into PPC, grab our last artifact, not so early wilds. And we're going to head back to MQB and take the save station to do a save warp. Do a wee warp to start. So that's pretty much it from the routing side of things. We are done from that regard, and we've just got final bosses, and we'll try and talk you through some final bosses. Final bosses take roughly around 9-ish minutes, I think, when you have Ridley, Exo, and Essence. Just get a nice wee ship dash. That is not easy, by the way. Is probably one of the harder dashes to do in a pressure environment. We're just going to head back into Artifact Temple. This will take a little bit of time to load because it's changing layers or deciding what layer it's moving into. Layer being Ridley. And having Boost Ball is very good for us here because it's going to make life so much easier. So start with Plasma, lock onto Ridley, pop. Ridley's going to shift. Bop. Bop. Bop again. And we'll try some flybacks. I'm not very good at it. But yeah. Once Ridley gets into this flyby state, at the gate, if you go to this cubby hole on the left, and just morph and sit here. We're just going to sit. We're going to chill. Ridley is weak to Boost Ball for some reason. If you boost into Ridley once he is on the ground, you delete all of his health up to a point. There's a threshold where he transitions from flying status to ground status. And Boost Ball will just force that transition. And then from here, I just back into this corner. Charge shot, missiles to the chest. This will blow open the chest plate. That should be easy enough, that should be manipulated. And then he's going to be rude and charges. And then we're going to do a super missile here just to finish him off. You can manipulate Ridley for a good chunk of it. For some reason when the chest plate breaks, he can sometimes ignore a little bit of the manip. I don't know how the manip works for the second part, but the first part is easy enough. Now, we're in Impact Crater. We're in the dentist's office. So the upcoming room is a bit tricky. This is the core. There is a series of movements that you can do to try and skip this core. I'm going to try and demonstrate it, but it can be tricky because if you fail it, you're aggravating the Metroids. There is a slope that you can do against this, holding L on the way up, but let go of L as you then traverse the rest of the room. If you hold L when you do the additional series of standables, you will just slide off. It does not like you pressing L. But you hold L for the first slope. Once you're on the first part of standable, let go of L and just jump and press forward. And you should be able to make it. And welcome to Exo. Now, Exo is a bit of a Simon Says piece. Exo between the subchambers is going to transition colours, and you must shoot Exo with the appropriate colour. So, super missile and a charge shot deals with the power beam bit. We're going to do what we call Exo Minute. If you stand close enough to Exo, you force Exo to do a melee claw swipe. And then what we can do is when it swipes, you can jump up and you need to motion a little bit of a sideways jump to jump over the claw and then push yourself back into position. And if you do this properly, you will force Exo into a repetitive pattern. Sometimes Exo's fingernails are a little too long and they can push you away. As you can see, we're not having too much bother here. We're going to try and get a run by and we got Now these things, do not let these stick around. These do like 200 damage or something. They're not very good for your health. Nice and easy, because we got that super in, we kind of force the last phase to end a little quicker. That wee super here. Yeah, learning this melee minute is extremely powerful. As you can see, it's easy enough to get yourself pushed out of like cycle with it. There's one like nail clip can push you out of way, but so long as you're like close to Exo, you will be able to like continue the minute. And you just take it nice and slow. If you have all 3 suits and a good number of health, you can kind of just tank Essence running into you, which is why I'm going for these snipes. When Exo charges at you, its faceplate opens up for a brief moment, and you can actually like wave a shot in as it's charging you. Go into subchamber 4. This is where the Simon Says gets a little bit random, shall we say, erratic. So again, we're just going to keep close, force the melee minute, get some charge shots in as she swipes, get some run by damage in when she charges. Take it nice and easy. By the leg. And we're getting a bad pattern here with lots of wave. I swore that would have done enough damage here. Yep. Honestly swore she was transitioning, but nope. She decided to bait me a little bit. But it's fine, worth it. So, Exo done. We're almost done, folks. We're almost there. Just the last part. Essence. My essence is very bad, by the way. First thing you want to do when you go into this room, hold R, don't move. If you move, essence starts playing funny with you. You can jump on the spot though, but hold R, prevent yourself from going anyway. She is going to approach you. She will headbutt you, but you have the heal. Let the chin reset when you do your attack cancels here, whatever they're called. And when you hear her roar, just burn the rest of the pool. Okay. I thought she was supposed to be behind her, but she clearly isn't. This is the detriment to not having X-ray. You can try and scan, see where Essence is. This pool is going to go. So if that's the case, there's a route that you can stand on top of here. Essence's shockwaves cannot hurt you when you're on this route, so you can just wait out. again. Let the chin reset. And then when you hear the roar, burn the rest. Nah, messed up. I tried to get cheeky. So, you can see, she's on a sliver of health. We were so close to burning out the last bit there. But now we just need to wait. Now we need to find her. And GG. So yeah folks, I hope that helps. I hope it gives you a little bit of an insight as to how I would approach a seed. Obviously more than welcome for people to ask questions on the Discord once the video link gets posted. You can scrutinise, ask away. Some of the other mentors can probably judge me for my decisions and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope some of that can at least be taken away and you can kind of look at it and you can try and kind of emulate some stuff and you can try and practice on some of the stuff that we mentioned. As I said, not everything here that I demonstrated is something I would expect you to walk away and burn time in to learn. Bar skip, for example, I wouldn't expect you to be doing that. It made sense for my level of skill to do it and route the way that I did. But in that position, if I did not know how to bar skip and I was a individual in your shoes, I would expect you to go into Magmoor, travel to the back of Magmoor, go into PPC and head down into mines, and ultimately you would have had the same level of success on your route from there as well, because the only thing we would not have is Gravity Suit, because you wouldn't do a boombox at that point, but you would have still found the Phazon Suit, which was in Vent Shaft. So overall, even if you had gone the other way, you might have just been, say, a few minutes slower if you had the same level of movement. But yeah folks, my name's TDC. I hope this was useful. I hope this was beneficial for those looking to get involved in being a part of the Prime Racing and the Rando side of the Prime Rando Racing side of the community. And yeah, as I said, any questions? Reach out. Right. Catch you next time.